Welcome to the Growth Network and welcome to Resilience Communities. Session 2, Values. In our first session, we talked about the rule of life, which is a very simple document which lays out the things you're focused on achieving and how you're going to go about doing them. And as we said last time, there are 5 elements to the rule of life. Mission, which we talked about last time, values, which we will talk about today, and objectives, habits, and community, which will be the topic of our remaining sessions. Just like in session 1, there are 2 key documents that you'll need to have to hand during today's session. The first is the workbook, which you can see here. And the second is your copy of the rule of life. We talk about the value of things or people, but we also talk about the values that we hold as people. If you think about somebody you value, that could be a friend, a colleague, a member of your family, you can think about what it is that you value about them. And probably that will tell you something of the values that that person holds. So before somebody comes to have value to us, that person has values. And those values are core to the character of that person and what they are bringing to the world. That means that we are human beings before we are human doings. We may fall into the trap of thinking of ourselves primarily in terms of our roles, like our job title. But before that, we are people who have values and whose values make their character, and that is what we bring to what we do, whatever our roles may be in life. Now, if we think about values as our character and what we have to offer, and then we consider them in terms of these 2 types of values, we've got CV or resume values and eulogy values. We have 2 very different things to offer the world. CV values are the values that we bring to the marketplace. They are what we put on our CV. Now, you may have a CV that says you're hardworking, you're competent, you're great at using a particular package, or you've got a great skill, you're a team player. And these are all the things that you would tell people if you're trying to get a job or market yourself. Eulogy values, on the other hand, though, say much more about your character. These are things like compassion, kindness, joy. They're the kinds of things that we hope people would identify about us and say, this is the kind of person that we are. Now, we bring both of these things into the world, but probably it's the eulogy values that we really want people to remember about us. This is a great example of eulogy values. A gravestone just around the corner from the house where I grew up for a philosopher whose name is Ernst Friedrich Schumacher. And you can just make out on the gravestone there that it says a guide for the perplexed. And that is a testament to what this man brought to the world and what people wanted to say of him after he had died. Now contrast that with a gravestone which might have our CV values on, and you can imagine how disappointing it would be if somebody had written, for example, Ofsted Outstanding on your gravestone. That might really matter to us in the middle of a career, but at the end of a life we might view things a little bit differently. So we can connect this back to what we talked about in the last session about mission statements. Values reinforce those guardrails that keep us from going off in the wrong direction. They enable alignment that keeps us focused on the target, the direction that we're going in, and energy. Our values give us the energy to continue getting up and doing the work that we've set for ourselves because we value what we're doing. So what we're identifying here are core values. That's 2 or 3 behavioral traits that are inherent to us. They lie at the heart of our identity. They don't change over time. They already exist. And this is quite a challenge because we need to think about elements of our character which are consistent over time. And we're looking for the positives here. We might be able to pick up some negative values, but underneath that, we need to identify what are the 3 things that really drive us, that we hold to and that really make our character. Last time we talked about the core values of the growth network, which are integrity and dignity. And we said that integrity is doing your job to the best possible standard. But another definition of integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, or the state of being whole and undivided. Our second core value is dignity. Last week we said that dignity is looking after yourself. Another definition is the state or quality of being worthy of honour or respect. This slide helps us think about the complexity of values, that they can have positive and negative sides. So if we think about, first of all, integrity, having integrity means we will work hard and we will get tasks done. But there are drawbacks and risks. For example, we can slide into overwork, or possibly by having integrity in one part of life, we can neglect other parts of life. Dignity, similarly, means we may look after ourselves very well and we're unlikely to overwork, but that may lead us to underperformance or to neglect our responsibilities. Last week, I asked you to place yourself on this diagram somewhere between dignity and integrity and job and vocation. And this is a great illustration of the tension between two values. You may go to work every day seeking to maintain a high level of integrity, but as a consequence, you may pay the price in dignity, and the same happens the opposite way round. Whichever values you hold, there will always be tension between them. And part of what we're trying to do here in resilience communities is to resolve that tension so that we can hold those different values together. Dignity and integrity are not everybody's core values. They're the values of this organisation. So what we want to do now is to consider your values. What are the values that you bring every day to your work life and to your personal life? The list you can see here is reproduced in the workbook and should give you lots of ideas of values that you may want to consider. But obviously there are many more values out there you could think about, and many more lists if you want to go and have a look online for those. So we're going to pause the video here and spend some time thinking about the values that appeal to you most. You can see the 3 questions on the screen here, which are reproduced in the booklet along with that long list of values. And I just want you to spend some time thinking about your response to each of these 3 questions. So the first is, which values appeal to you most? And the simplest way to approach that is simply to take that list and underline or highlight any value on that list which you think you hold. The second part is a bit more challenging. It's to go back over that list and pick out 2 or 3 values which you think are really core for you. Now, again, they may not be on that list. You may want to add to it. You may want to go and find a different list. That's absolutely fine. But the point is to identify what you think are those 2 or 3 values which really affect the way that you live. And finally, there's a space there for you to make some notes or to journal about why these values matter to you. So take as long as you like, work in the workbook, and as soon as you're done, just come back and restart the video. Once you've completed that exercise, just take your rule of life and write the 2 or 3 core values you've identified into that values box. And remember, if you change your mind later, you can always come back and adjust your rule of life. And that's the end of this session. We've now talked about mission, we've talked about values, and next time we'll be talking about objectives. Just like last time, if you would like to find out more about any of these topics, the links on this slide and in the workbook should help you. Otherwise, we'll see you again for session 3.